Yeah.
All right. So great to see you, Professor Madhavi, Dr. Madhavi. You are the first thorough uh, educationist that I have in my channel. So, folks, welcome to hashtag FemPower. I'm Rajat. I'm your powerful choices coach, and I've written a book called Women Beware of the Freaking Plot Hole. If you haven't already read it, please go ahead and pick it up and read it on Kindle. I also went on a 9,000-kilometer drive this year just to prove that women can do what women can't do. And I have been interviewing on my channel, hashtag FemPower, powerful women who have made a mark for themselves by just their own determination and grit. And we are going to discover what they have done for themselves and how so that others can do it too. And today I have Dr. Madhavi Lokhande. She is the director of Wellinger School of Management in Bangalore. And she has an amazing, illustrious career. I've been reading up on her LinkedIn. Professor, you are just mind blowing in terms of achievements. Some of the things I noticed were your association with Padhai. So we would love to hear about that. You did your PhD in microcredit. I have had a small experience of microcredit myself. You're also a cost accountant and a management accountant, and there is more. So let's hear from Dr. Madhavi herself. So, Madhavi, please tell us more about yourself, your childhood. Let's start with your childhood. How did you choose to, go on this journey?
First of all, thank you, Rajat, for having me on your talk show. And also, thank you for including educators because what I see, in mainstream, uh, be it talk shows or be it conferences, and specifically if they're about success and achievement, we see slightly lopsided view in terms of, what success matters. And somewhere, not many women educators get involved. So, just on a lighter side, if you go to one of these conferences by, let's say, association of some schools or management associations, I see that the dais is usually, filled with men who are at the helm of affairs at the universities, business schools, and uh, just luck by chance, one or two women get included in some of these to be either a keynote speaker or to be giving the opening remarks. So, thank you for including educators over here in this talk show. And I would describe myself as somebody who's taken chances all along the way. And you wanted me to start with childhood, right? So, I think till I was in college, I was really not sure what I would do, but I always had within the family a lot of pressure because my brother would always be standing at the top of the class, always throughout. And I was the one who would never be in the top five ranks, but I would be good at everything, like a jack of all trades. So I would want to do something in theater, drama. I would want to participate in competitions. I would love to be part of any of the inter-school or intra-school competitions. So at home, I always got labeled as someone who's uh, very naughty and also someone who doesn't go by a rule book. Because back then, when I was growing up, there were strict, especially I come from a slightly conservative family, there were strict rules for what girls could do and what girls could not do. There was nothing for the boys. And I'm one of those few who probably decided very early that rules are meant to be broken. So I grew up like that. I grew up like that. So I ended up doing a lot of things which perhaps were never scripted in advance or decided in advance. But I still went ahead and tried them because I was interested. So going back to the conservative family, everybody in my family, my mom's side, dad's side, they all were those typical who picked up science and became engineers. There were a couple of professors back then also within the family. So I was the first one to choose a combination um, in '89 as maths, economics, commerce. And you won't believe, I think for about a couple of months, my uncles, who are all either in engineering colleges, teaching or studying engineering, they just refused to talk to me because
Oh,
they said, how can you get very good marks in maths and science and yet opt for a commerce? Because back then, arts and commerce was something to be picked if you're not good in studies.
yeah.
So I think so. When I moved from 10th to 11th, I was the first in my family to move towards a maths, economic, commerce. So they had already decided that I was going to be a good for nothing and end up with probably a bachelor's degree and not do anything beyond that. So I picked up maths, economics, commerce, slightly unconventional, like I said, way back in '89. And then I said, okay, let me go ahead and do a BCom. I did my cost accountancy along with BCom. And I I went later to start working in the corporate. And while I was doing that, somewhere this entire thing about contributing back to uh, academics, was something which was seeded by one of my profs because for my cost accounting classes, I used to go to Kanpule classes in Pune, and he used to teach back then we used to have intermediate and final. So there was a foundation in the cost accountancy course, intermediate and the final. And I was going for my final coaching. And it was a small class, but very dedicated, one of the best coaching classes in Pune for cost accounting. So he was going on a tour. I think he had to attend a wedding and he didn't want to shut the classes. So he asked me if I would engage the foundation batch and I would clear some doubts. And he gave me one, two topics in economics. And he said, you just have to clear the doubts. Let's not close the class. Let them come. Let the students come. And that was my first stint. But I had a full time job. I was working with a company called as Monthly Housing and Constructions, and I used to go for these classes in the evening. So I went to the class and I started talking about economics, and then the topic went to something in maths and stats, and the students came back with their doubts in maths and stats as well. So something which was just meant to be for a couple of hours, I went and took these doubt clearing sessions over the weekend, the entire weekend. So when my sir came back on Monday morning, he said, "What's happening? I think you took all the 3 days. What were you doing?" I said, "I did a little bit of economics. I also helped them with stats. I also helped them with maths." He was like, he was really surprised because I myself was a student under him. He said, "Oh, if you've got that in you to be able to clear doubts and talk to students and make them understand the topic, then I think you should try." And I think he gave me the first chance to start engaging in some sessions with the foundation batch of students, who are the very young students who could have just finished their 12th. So that was my first stint in teaching, and he was the one who gave me that chance to do that. So I went on. I finished my ICWA, and then he always encouraged me to teach in his classes. So it became a regular. Something which started with, when I'm not there, can you just pitch in? It became a regular, and then I started. He started back then. There was no computer printouts, so we used to write. The problems and the solutions had to be written by hand, and they had to be cyclostyled. So he started asking me to create smaller problems because accounting, it's all to do with the numbers. Write out smaller problems. So I started writing his notes, creating his notes. Those would get cyclostyled and would get circulated to the students. And somewhere I found all this very, very interesting. So I said, fine, with after 6, 7 years in the corporate, I said, why not move to teaching? And I also did that because my daughter was very young then. She was just a couple of months old. And I said, somewhere to find a balance between what I could do at home and um, what I could do at as work. So by then I had shifted to Hyderabad, and I was just getting off the train from Pune to Hyderabad, and I'd studied in Hyderabad. My entire education was in Hyderabad. So I bumped into my college professor. I had studied in St. Francis. So she was generally asking what I was doing. I said, I'm going to take a career break for a couple of years. She said, okay, fine. If you feel like, and if your Ganpule sir has said you're good at teaching, you can come over for a few hours if you feel like teaching. So
Okay.
I started teaching at my alma mater, St. Francis College in Hyderabad, and that's how I probably gradually shifted from a corporate career to a teaching career to academics. And I started with something as less as 2 hours in a day, 3 hours in a day, and went on to teach full time as my daughter also grew up and she would start her schooling. And I started spending more hours at the college. Then again, there was a shift from Hyderabad to Bangalore. And then, in 2004, we just reached Bangalore and I was just taking a stroll in Kormangla looking at the Forum Mall. And I happened to see the Velinka board out there. And out of sheer curiosity, I just walked in. The place was just getting done, and there were two professors standing. And then said, I just was out of curiosity, saw the board is Wellinger in Bangalore now, because always known it to be in Mumbai.
Bye.
And so I just met them, and then they were asking me what I was doing. I said I've just moved from Hyderabad, and this is what I was doing in Hyderabad. Turned out that one of the professors was also a professor to my brother when he studied in Mumbai. And my brother being always at the top of the class, the professor was very impressed. He said, "Oh, okay, you're this person's sister, so definitely, I'm sure you are uh, very academic oriented." And then the fact that I had a teaching background, it is my alma mater. So I started again in Wellinka with few hours of teaching. So I started in Wellinka as a visiting faculty, and today, 20
Whether
years
that
later, I'm the director. So it's been a phenomenal journey. You also asked about Padai. So, somewhere in this entire journey, be it my teaching at the alma mater or teaching at Ganpule classes, I think one thing which stayed with me and stuck with me was there were several students who were in these institutions and all these institutions, be it Ganpule classes, be it St. Francis, be it Wellinka now, they're best in that business or best in terms of the ranking or in terms of what they offer as education to students. I always found that there were few students who were here because their parents could afford that. I also saw that there were a lot more students who struggled to reach this place, and they struggled
yeah.
financially and economically. And specifically in Wellinger, I came across this girl who came from a very modest background. Mom was working as a security guard in some place.
Okay.
And she came and met, and she said how difficult it was to make ends meet and how difficult it was to even pay the fee for an PGDM program. That's when it struck me saying that if there could be something which could be done, and increasingly that I gravitated towards looking at what could be done for a girl child. Somewhere my study in PhD also, contributed towards that, because when
Mm.
I enrolled for my PhD, and that was in 2005, microcredit was still famous and not so infamous as it is now, microcredit and microfinance. So I
Yeah.
said, let's look at how microcredit has helped women and how microcredit has helped women entrepreneurs, especially those who run businesses from their home. So typically what is called as homepreneurs. So these are women who run businesses from their home, and typically these are, probably what you when you visit a supermarket, you will find a lot of these, perhaps which are not branded stuff. So let's say you take a typical homemade sambar powder, or let's say a chutney powder, the masalas. If they're not the branded stuff, you'll still see them with a small label. You don't know
Mm.
who has actually manufactured. I'm talking about 2005. So I
Yeah.
realized that these women sell to the nearest kirana store or the nearest supermarket, and their product is available in the shelf. But these are being made by women who run these from their home. So they don't know much about branding, labeling, that least of all pricing. So they sell, at whatever price the shopkeeper is willing to take that as.
Yeah.
And that was also a trigger point for the PhD. And I said, okay, how do they fund themselves? So then I said, okay, it's going to be called microcredit for women entrepreneurs in India, and specifically the micro women entrepreneurs. And when I was doing this, I went to visit as part of my field study. I went to this cooperative bank near my place in Jayanagar, uh, which is, which gives collateral free loans to women. So they just need to show up there, and there's a Thursday mela. So they need to show up there on a Thursday saying, you know what, I have a tailoring business, or I run a beauty parlor, or I make these masalas at home, or, I manufacture these artifacts which you typically see, let's say the artificial flowers, like a toran which you hang outside your door. So these are women who are making all that. So they turn up on Thursday to the bank and they ask for a loan. And out of sheer curiosity, I said, let me sit and understand what happens at this loan mela. And when they say collateral free loans, how does microcredit function for them? So a lot of these women would, and I did this for almost a month. Every Thursday, I would go to the bank and I would just sit there and watch. So there would be one officer who would question them, saying, "What is your business? How much loan do you want? And what do you have to offer as a ID?" And back then, Aadhaar was still not the ID,
Yeah.
right? In 2005. So the woman would turn up at bank and answer the questions. First of all, these women never knew English. And most of the banks would have, some banks at least then would have boards in English only or in Hindi, especially nationalized bank like State Bank, or some of the cooperative banks would have in the local language Kannada. So they would turn up, they would talk to the officer and say, I want 50,000 loan. What are you doing? I'm making chutney powders at home. Okay, do you have a bank account? Yes, I have. Which bank do you have an account? State Bank. Can you show the passbook? That woman would pull out a passbook and Karnataka Bank would be written on that.
Oh.
So they never knew what is written on a passbook. Those were days when the passbook was still in vogue. Then they would ask the woman to fill a form, which would be like your name, address, and do you have any other loans? And the form would be in English.
Oh.
And this woman would take the form. They would struggle, and I would be sitting there and observing. Then they would come to me and say, "Can you help fill this form?"
Right.
Or in case of some of the women, again, nothing specific to any community, but a lot of Muslim women would come with their husband. The husband would decide. So many times it is the husband taking the loan, but the front end is the woman because you're getting collateral free loans. And when I started visiting their business places to understand whether they really had a business, some of them had, some of them didn't. Some of them had, but they didn't know. They didn't know how to package the chutney powder. They didn't know how to label it. They didn't know how it should go in a finished in a finished package to the nearest supermarket. So they would just pack it and they would seal it with a staple pen, and then it would go to the store. And they would never know what is getting mixed, how much is getting sold. They would just take whatever money they get, and they would come back. When I visited their home, I also saw that they had kids. And in most of the cases, it was the boy who was getting educated, but the girl would wait back at home to help the mom. And I've seen this, that if the mother is a maid, housemaid, the girl has to necessarily toe that path. If the mother is a tailor, the girl has to sit and help cut the cloth. And if the mother is making these chutney powders, the girl has to help fetch things, help her pack it, help her grind it. So that's where the thought for Padhai came, saying, if you get monetary help to get the second child educated, would you send her to the school? This was the question, apart from what I was doing as part of my PhD, the questions I asked. And some of them said yes. So I said, let me not do it as an individual, but let me do it under a specific trust, which will look at cases which get referred to and then join them in a school. So I would never give the money in the hands of the man or the woman in the house, because I would never know where the money goes. So I would always pay it at the school, and I would do a follow up with the school. In fact, I would be there right from when they would get admitted to trying to understand from the principal if the girl is coming to the school, and if she's given her exam, if she's gone from class 4 to class 5, and then pay the fee for the next class. So that's how Padhai started. And then I started getting reference of cases where it is a single mom. Either the husband has left her, or the husband is no more, or she's a divorcee, and the woman wants to get the girl child educated. So these cases started coming by reference. When all this was happening, I'm sorry, Rajat, this is a really lengthy answer to the first
I'm
question you
enjoying
asked.
it. I'm enjoying it. This is mesmerizing. I just keep going.
So when I was doing all this, Goldman Sachs along with ISB launched a program called as 10K. So the
Yeah.
objective was that they wanted to see, by the year 2010 or 20, if I'm not wrong, they wanted to see 10,000 women entrepreneurs out of India. And because of my PhD and working with these women entrepreneurs, though they were micro women entrepreneurs, I became a part of the program as a mentor. So the program would be that there would be 19 days classroom sessions at ISB, which the ISB professor would take, and these women entrepreneurs would be from all over India. So you stay with them for 3 months in terms of going to their workplace, looking at it, giving your suggestions. It's like an after office, kind of consultation where you could help them in terms of their financials. Me, especially because I came from a finance background. So that is what the 10K program was about. So when that way I came across a large cohort of women who were under me for the 10K program, and I was mentoring them. So when I spoke to a few of them with regards to Padhai and how Padhai operated, they said, you know what? Why only Bangalore? So many of the women that I was mentoring, few were from Chandapura, which is closer to Bangalore on the outskirts, Tumkur. They said there are, girls in these smaller tier two or around the periphery of Bangalore that you could help. And we will monitor, as in we will go to the school, we will check, and we will refer these cases if we find that you should be giving them a scholarship. So somehow, everything, you see how all dots kept getting connected. My PhD, and I went for a field study, then came out Padhai, and then I was part of the 10K women program. And those women said, we will kind of refer these cases to Padhai, and we will monitor the girl child. So suddenly it was not just me, it was few other powerful women who aligned and who said, okay, let's get this going. So that's how Padhai, established in 2012, we went on to support about 30 girls. So I have kids, girls who are children of rack pickers, auto rickshaw people, and they are studying different courses. So there's some who are doing graduation. Those who are doing graduation, we also supported them to pick up a tally course or a business communication course, so that they could get a job. So this is what Padhai does, and this is how Padhai's journey began. So while all this was on, I said, okay, let's ramp up. So I started putting out Padhai on Facebook and Instagram. I have not gone the corporate funding, CSR funding way, simply because I did not have the bandwidth and the time to get the due diligence and submit so many records. So it's always been crowdsourcing of funds using social media platform. So Padhai, talks to uh, talks to the donors through Facebook and Instagram. And then if they align with the cause, they write to me and I connect with them. And then I also share the information on where the funds are going and who are the children who are getting supported. So this is the journey of Padhai. Meanwhile, in my professional career, I moved from being a visiting faculty to a full-time faculty in Wellinger. First, I took the position of Wellinger. Also was a startup, like I said, 2004. They were just doing the furniture when I walked in. So I joined in as a visiting faculty, and then I started heading the entire academic division, became head of academics, then was a dean, and moved on to become a director. In all this, Rajat, um, be it the first job of Mantri or the job at Gunpulis or at St. Francis, one thing I realized is I never made a CV. I never gave a CV to in any of these places. In Mantri also, I just finished my graduation. It was a walk-in interview, and I saw the board outside, and I said, "Okay, fine, let me just try." They just asked me some questions, and later on I just had to fill their own form with all my personal details. Ganpule sir, I was going there for classes and he asked me to
Yeah.
start teaching there. Francis, because I was an alma mater and they asked me to start teaching there. And I think Wellinger, the interaction happened because I joined in as a visiting faculty. They said, okay, come on. And then, the feedback and everything went well. And I got onboarded and filled in their own forms, right? So I realized I never made a CV and I never. So today, if you ask me, do you have a resume or a CV? I struggle because I had to make one. But,
Whoa.
but I think circumstances, family, and God has been very kind. So every time, every instance, I felt there were opportunities and I just needed to take that one step. And somewhere I think because right from my childhood, I loved doing something very different. And I was, wanting to try out everything, not just studies. I think that because my parents also allowed me to do all that. I think one studious kid at home was enough for them. So they allowed me to do all these things. I think somewhere that entire attitude and approach stuck with me. So even now, I if I find an opportunity to try out something new, I don't hesitate.
And
I
you
go
are,
for
you keep
it.
doing that. You're mentoring organizations to set up their
Yes.
education system in more streamlined manner.
Yes.
So that's another work that you do. So there's no end to it, Dr. Madhavi. I think
Yes.
we could just keep going on and on. But some of the things that it becomes very clear from your story is that you carry a lot of gratitude. You have
Yes.
respect for people who have guided you, who have helped you. You have a lot of dedication,
Yes.
and luck has been there with you. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that's definitely there. But all of it, you have put them together beautifully to make something out of it, which is helping others, which is changing lives of people.
Yes.
And you have like hundreds of students every year who come to Wellinger, and their lives are completely changed in those 2 years that they spend with you.
Yeah. So you're right. I think luck has always played its role. And like I said, I've always believed that every time there's a chance, one must take that chance, not hesitate, because I don't think at any point in time there was any need or compulsion. When I used to go and sit at those banks and observe what used to happen, or when I decided, okay, why just observe them at the bank? Let's go to their workplace and see what's happening. And that's when I came across those kids and I said, fine, I'm there in the education sector. So let me do something beyond the job, because finally, if you're able to nurture a few young girls to become strong, independent women, which I've always believed every woman should be very independent and especially financially independent. So that's what I tell, the students also, especially the girls who come to study, that come what may and whatever other things keep happening in your life, it's very important to have some passion along with the job. And I think typically the ikigai also talks of it, which means you do your job, but you also find something where there is a purpose and there is a passion to pursue it and perhaps make difference in some people's lives. Because and I keep telling this to my students also, companies keep talking about CSR and corporate social responsibilities, but actually it is ISR. It starts with I, individual. And if each one of us could, maybe a big or small cause, doesn't necessarily have to be monetary, because many people who ask me about padhai keep asking me saying, oh, is it only the donation? I said, please give me one half a day. You can go to a school. There are schools where, you want the kids to know about what sanitation is, what healthy habits are, uh, you know, how do you brush?
Oh,
And why is it important to bathe? Because the schools we do, as Padhai, we also do the notebooks and textbooks in the municipal schools and government schools. Again, I don't do Bangalore, I do around Bangalore. When we go to these schools, many of the schools, the kids are sitting on the floor.
yeah.
In one classroom, there are two or three classes happening, and each one is facing in a different direction. So you can hear the other teachers speak.
Mm.
I've seen schools where they serve midday meal, so it's just a plate. There's a little bit of rice and there's a watery sambar or rasam, because while government gives them, funds, it is only for the let's say one rice and one dal, and the other overheads like a gas cylinder, plus what masalas you want to buy and what vegetables do you want to buy. So in most of these schools, at least the schools I visited in Tumkur and Chandapur, the midday meal looks like grains of rice floating in something which is called as a watery rasam or a watery dal or a watery
Oh,
sambar.
oh my God.
And I feel that many of us are very privileged. We don't like a meal, we throw it away. Kids order at home, they don't like something, it goes to the dustbin. But this is another part of life which somehow, when I saw it, it made me think and say, okay, what is that little bit that I can do? In fact, under CSR, since we're on the topic, so CSR funding is companies decide that they want to do one social activity. So one of the orphanages, so I usually go to orphanages first to pick who are the kids that I want to sponsor for the fees. One of the orphanages I visited, there was a room next to, where the kids, so they all sleep. It's like a dormitory. They all sleep on the floor. The room was locked. So this, the warden or uh, the caretaker, I said, what is in the other room? Why don't you move some of the girls over there? So boys and girls, they get separate place to sleep and they're more comfortable. He said, oh, no, no, we have computers over there. I said, what? She said, yeah, we have 35 computers. I said, then what are you doing with them? Then I said, for who? Why are the computers there? And for, she said, okay, X company donated it. It is for all these kids. There were 35 kids in that orphanage and there were 35 computers. I said, fantastic. So let's see what we can do. I can get some people who will come and spend half a Saturday or half a Sunday. And so I
Teach
opened
them.
that room. There were 35 boxes, carton boxes, unopened.
Oh my God.
And they have been lying like that for an year
Oh God.
because the caretaker or the warden said, I don't know how to operate them. As part of CSR activity, we got it from X company. They've come and kept it here. What after that?
My God.
So, who's going to install them? Who's going to teach this to the kids? Neither this caretaker or the warden had the bandwidth to go and ask them. Neither anybody came from the company to say, okay, we will set it up. And in some schools where they've come and done the setup, after 6 months, either the antivirus goes out of date or one of the apps stops working. They're just lying there like that. They don't know what to do with it. They have a
My,
printer, but they say, okay, we can't afford to, refill those cartridges. It's too expensive. So there's a printer line. So under CSR funding, they get a lot of things. They don't know what to do with it.
my,
Even from government, in government schools, they say we give uniforms. You know what comes? Cloth comes. And the cloth is just lying there because the parent or the kids who go to government school, the parents are asking who's going to get them stitched. I don't have the money to get the uniform stitched. So it lies there, and from there it moves from one hand to another, and it's back in the system. Somebody has taken it and sold it somewhere else. So, at least for the education sector, I think like minded people, it doesn't necessarily have to be government, like minded people and people who want to contribute need to do something. So, that social activism is what I would want to request educators and people in the corporate saying, do something small, do it, even if it is for one kid, but do it because this mandate cannot be picked up only by government, and I don't know even if they pick it up, how many people is it reaching? I'll take a pause here because I think that was a lengthy answer to the first question.
yeah, but yeah, it's good to know what you're doing with Padhai. And I would love to associate with Padhai and do something that I can contribute because it really makes a difference. And what I see in you, Madhavi, is this leadership quality, which is very natural. You have a natural leadership quality, and you have been using it uh, very, very effectively in so many areas and changing so many lives. And
Thank you.
uh, and I think you have already answered my second question, what factors contributed to your growth, because you have talked about people in your life
Yeah.
and how these things happen. So I'll go to my third question.
Yes.
And while I see that you have an abundant supply of leadership quality, I think nobody can hold you back. I mean, in that, I think that's one thing I've seen in a lot of women leaders, that
Yeah.
they have this natural tendency to lead. You give them anything, they will just make gold out of it.
Yes.
So, what do you think stops women from achieving leadership success? Because you are a director of a business school, and leadership is something that's your business, right? So you
Yes.
put out to men and women alike. But you know how the statistics are about women's leadership. Hardly
Absolutely.
52% of them in the C-suite, and that too is like dwindling now. Recently, there has
Yes.
been a downward trend. So, what holds women from leadership success?
So I'll tell you one thing, Rajat, and I'll tell you something which is beyond the obvious because I don't want to say communication skill, drive, passion. These are textbook answers, okay? And I'm sure anybody who wants to know a little bit about leadership can read about them. We have a lot of inspiring and success stories and even failure stories as to what worked for some women and what did not work. But primarily, at a very basic level, I think uh, there should be a way to get rid of self doubt, and there should be a way to become slightly thick skinned, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that, and to be able to take every chance that comes your way. I'm saying slightly thick skinned, and I'll tell you with an example, and I'll explain this with an example. So, if at workplace uh, a woman is an introvert, doesn't talk much, and is not forthcoming, or is, let's say, um, to herself, be it conversations or be it at workplace, then the first label which comes, oh, women, and they can do only so much. On the other hand, if you're very, very proactive and you just want to be the first in line to jump at any opportunity, then they say you're too aggressive. It's very easy for women leaders to get branded. And on one side, they will say that she knows how to butter people up. If she's successful, she knows how to say, be a yes boss person. So there are several reasons to pull a woman down. I think first and foremost, we as a section of people, women, should learn to support each other and be proud of each other's achievements. And that will bring out a lot more leaders in women, and not be opinionated about why a woman is aggressive, or why a woman is, not so, and why she is an introvert. So, and specifically at workplace, because if we encourage, then I see that the next generation of women will start taking chances at leadership, and they will not hold themselves back, and there will be no self doubt. I don't know if I should say this or not, but this is something, again, it's a personal opinion. I could be wrong, right or wrong. By default, a woman loses 10 years of her work life. It could be getting married, it could be childbirth, it could be taking care of the child at home, and then comes a stage when there are aged parents. So, even despite our initial headway which we make, we get pulled back somewhere, trying to balance what's happening at home and what's happening at workplace. It's okay, it's fine. Take it in your stride and get back without any guilt, get back without any shame, get back without doubting yourself. And once you are there, I'm sure you find your feet again, and you know that you will not just walk, but you will start galloping and you'll start running, or you'll take those longer strides. So I think in women leadership, uh, we should figure out a way how we give ourselves a lot more emotional strength, and we give it to ourselves instead of waiting for somebody to come and motivate you and somebody to keep giving you chances. You take the chance, you motivate yourself, you you hold your head high for whatever decisions. Taking a break, which is after marriage or after your delivery, don't feel guilty about it. In fact, you should be proud that you've managed everything well. And this is because I also see every year I have a 270 students who come and take admission, and I meet a lot of alumni, especially the girls who come back and say, you know what, ma'am, I'm not doing anything. Actually, I'm not. I'm feeling very low because I had to take this. Why? Don't feel, it's a choice. It's a decision you have made. And once you have you have probably fulfilled your responsibilities at home, get back to work and don't feel ashamed or don't feel guilty for it. I think we as women are too tough on ourselves, and we set these really high benchmarks or hurdles to cross. I think the first thing is to avoid that. And like I said, for me, when I look back and I connect all the dots, I took every opportunity which came my way. When I was a visiting faculty and in Bangalore, NEN was starting something. I went signed up to be an NEN educator. Later, the Institute of Management Accountants, you spoke about being a management accountant. Institute of Management Accountants, just like the ICW in India, it's a US based certification, which is called a CMA. They were setting up offices in India, and Bangalore chapter was set up. And Bangalore chapter, it's a voluntary position where you work with the chapter to further the cause of CMA as a profession, to ensure that students are aware of CMA as a profession. I took my chance and I applied to be a volunteer over there. And when I applied to be a volunteer, and I joined in saying I'll volunteer in the area of student relations, because coming from an academic background, I thought that's very easy. And the after 2 years as volunteering for student relations, where I was generally looking at how students could create these smaller newsletters which come up with finance articles, arranging some events, maybe knowledge sharing events or fun events for the students in finance. The Bangalore chapter presidentship was open. I applied for it, and I got selected as the president of the IMA Bangalore chapter. And later, when these people spoke to me, they said, among all the chapters in India, which is in the accounting profession and especially the IMA, there has never been a woman president for the
Oh,
chapter. And secondly, if you see other associations, be it CII, BCIC, or
yeah.
IMA, usually the president position is always for somebody who's from the corporate.
Oh,
So even IMA, the president positions in everywhere else, it was somebody who comes from a corporate background. And it was for the first time that somebody from an academic background actually tried for it. Rajat, I'm saying the word tried for it because nowhere it was written that you cannot be, but it is an assumption. So I tried and I applied. And thankfully, the people who knew me in the chapter, they also seconded. And I became the president of the Bangalore chapter. And when I became the president of Bangalore chapter, IMA, it's headquartered in US. So they came back two terms of presidentship after I did. I said, let me now step down. I'll still be part of the board. They asked me if I would be the India liaison role, which means not just mentor Bangalore chapter, but also mentor all the other 8 chapters in India.
wow. Okay.
So again, it was a chance that just came and I took it. I said, fine. Has somebody done this before? No. It's a role that they were experimenting first time. So they said there could be pluses, minuses. We don't know how this role will pan out, but you're supposed to coordinate with all of the chapters. So just like you've helped Bangalore chapter, you're supposed to help all of the chapters. So there was Delhi, Mumbai, Pune. I said, yes, why not?
Wow.
So I did 1 year of that. And again, like I said, nobody asked, nobody pushed, nobody
Right.
suggested, but you get those chances and you take those chances. And I think leadership for women is all about taking those chances. So this year again, I'm taking a chance and I'm applying to be on the global board of directors for IMA. It's in US.
Wow.
I said, okay, no woman from India has tried or asked for it. Let me ask for it. Let me apply for it.
For it. Very well said.
So I think leadership for us is take that chance. You may fail, you may fall down, dust yourself, get up, start walking again.
Wow.
And no shame and guilt in that.
This is very beautifully put, Dr. Madhavi, because you know what? People keep saying, say no, say no, say no, right? Nowadays it's become a kind of an in thing.
Yes, yes.
I want to say no, I want to have my me time. You're not talking about me time. You're talking about contributing. You're
Yes.
talking about making a difference with your time. And constantly you've been saying, I said yes,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. I've
And
always said yes, tried things out.
and you're not talking about being divided. You're not talking about
No.
having the responsibilities in Wellinger and having to do this. You're not complaining. You
No.
just taken it to your stride that okay, if I say yes to five things, I will do five things.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that's amazing because it inspires me because I'm that kind of person who keeps saying yes to many things. So if I told you what all I'm doing right now, you would not be surprised because you are that kind of person. But a lot of people are.
Yes.
So I keep saying yes to many things. And one of the things I'm doing these days is I'm teaching women to drive.
Wow, fantastic.
So
That's really a noble cause. And yeah, I know
yeah.
your entire drive, which was very inspiring for me when you first shared, and I also came to know of it, and I was also following your smaller reels, which you put
Wow.
up. So it was very inspiring, and uh, I aligned so much with it because every place you went, I saw you were meeting people, trying to understand what they were doing, talking about it. You were sharing those stories, which are not the mainstream ones, but those really smaller stories, which happen with women in smaller households, smaller places, which don't get the limelight that they do. So I think it was a fantastic effort on your side, and I really admired you for doing that. And it was not a small feat. It's not like, okay, I'm driving from here to another city. It's like you covered the entire
India.
nation. Yeah, you covered the entire nation. You did it within a certain, and you also shared, I remember you said, I'm very tired, and it's been, I think it was raining or something. You had to take a stop in between, and you said you're one day behind schedule. So you were also
Oh,
sharing.
that was Kashmir, Srinagar.
Yes.
The roads broke.
Yes,
I
you
could.
even shared all those, which was very nice and very inspiring. And that is what I feel we as women should do. We should share our success, we
Yes.
should share our stories, we should share our failures, and we should do it without any shame or guilt or fear.
I love hearing that. You should say it again and again, Dr. Madhavi, because coming
Yes,
from you, it really makes a difference.
yes,
And I think if your students, the girls in fact, the boys and the girls in your
yes,
business school, when they hear this story, they are going to be inspired to actually lead a more fulfilling life.
yes.
Because
Hopefully, yeah.
you know what? This shame, guilt, fear, this wanting to say no because I have a child at home, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Because I have this, I can't do that, has become so mainstream now
Yeah.
that women are actually holding themselves back most of the time.
Yes,
And I meet people who spend so much time justifying why they said no
yes.
rather than uh, rather than telling what they did, that I really am afraid that if we keep going like this we'll go downward. So we need a lot more people like you.
Thank you. And yeah, I totally agree with you. So we end up saying no for most of the things. So my two bit, on that would be, it's okay if you're not able to go ahead, say no, but then also figure out how it will be a yes the next time. And if it is no to one thing, then what else can you do when you're not able to serve a role, or you're at home for whatever reason? It could be family reason, medical reasons, it could be because of your kid, it could be because of elderly parents. But then there are, I think there are several opportunities now to contribute, to do something or other. So figure out, if at least for 2 hours you can go to an NGO, teach, you can help the other young girls understand more about life, understand about being healthy, understand about sanitation, cleanliness, hygiene. There are so many opportunities for each one of us to contribute. So when it is not mainstream job, and for whatever reason you're required to take a break, figure out in that break, how do you know contribute to something.
Do something.
Because when you look back in hindsight, I think you should have a life which is full of friends, your achievements, your satisfaction, your happiness. Because anyway, we are wired in a way that half the time we are worried about family, cooking, chores at home, taking care of people. We are wired. That's
Yeah,
fine. But
that's
take
true.
out that 10-15% to say, what am I doing for myself, and what is it that I can do to help others? That brings in a lot of happiness. It brings in a lot of satisfaction.
So you actually answered my next question. What advice will you give to the women who are watching us today?
I
And
think women, we all should go for it, take all those chances. Like, I also have one small concern that, by not taking those chances, by restricting and inhibiting ourselves, we are we are bound to become a little bit anxious. And I see the next generations which are coming out, they all are slightly anxious generation. They're worried about things, they're worried about failing, they're worried, and they're stressed, and they feel anxious for a lot of time. I think a lot of it is perhaps due to um, restricting and inhibiting yourself. So go try out a lot more things. Like I said, it's not about success or failure. It's okay, fall down 7 times, but eighth time you're up and ready to go. So my message to all the youngsters would be, take chances and do some good, because that good will come back to you. Let me not be philosophical, but I have seen that when you do some things, the other things which start coming your way automatically start falling in place, and you start seeing a pattern. You can never say, I'm going to connect the dots and talk about it futuristic. It's always that you look back and say, you know what, all this happened and I'm able to connect those dots. And that will happen if you're willing to go and look at the dot, if you're willing to go and take the chance. That's how you will be able to connect those dots. So take risk, take chances, and take care of yourself. I think that's most important, because
yeah.
when we fall sick, only we fall sick.
Oh my God, how well said.
And we take care of ourselves. So, and we are required to stand on our own 2 feet and say, okay, I'm back. So take care of yourself. That would be my message.
So my last question is, what are your plans for the future? And also tell us about your hobby of playing sitar, right? You play sitar.
Yes. So, because I've always been a person who's wanted to try and do so many things. What happened during COVID was that staying at home was getting to me.
Okay.
Actually, even when even when I take a break, I can't stay at home for more than a day or day and a half. I'm an outdoor person. I like going out. It could be to the local market, it could be to go and meet friends, it could be going and watching a movie, or go out for a stroll. I can't be at home. So that the first phase of COVID somewhere, and the second phase which led to lockdown, that was getting so much to me that I said, something I need to do now and break this entire boredom and getting restricted to home. That's when I joined the sitar class, and I found this Guruji. He was like, in fact, he was uh, very next building, and I could hear people come there and practice. So I just walked up to his house one of the days and I said that I want to learn. And I just peeped inside. So it was people who were like his students for more than 5, 6 years. And
Okay.
there were students who his father, so this is the Dharwad Gharana, father had taught. And there were otherwise there were the very young students like those kids, uh, 8 year, 10 years who were learning sitar. So he said, I don't think you'll fit in here because the grown-ups, the adults who were learning, they all have been his disciples for at least minimum 4, 5 years. Or it was the kids. So he said, I don't know how you will fit in because these are at an advanced stage and the other beginners is just the kids. So what will you do? I said, I'll join the kids batch. So he lent me his sitar. He said, I don't think you'll last for even a month because they all are kids and I'm going to be scolding them if they don't play well, and I don't think I can scold you. So he said, let's see, don't buy a sitar. And he gave me his sitar for a month. He said, let's try it out. So the first thing there was, I realized I could not sit on the floor and practice for 1 hour. I'm saying the physical difficulty in being able to do that,
Right. Right.
especially because uh, it's not normal crossed leg also. One of your legs goes inside and the other one overlaps your first the one which has gone inside, and you're supposed to balance your sitar on that. I
Yes.
think the 1 month I struggled more than anything else. I struggled to be able to sit down and play, and that's when I realized probably I was not as fit as I think I am.
Well, well.
I really couldn't do that. And those kids were sitting, they were playing, and all this, the senior batch, the adult disciples of his, they all were able to sit. And I'm not even able to sit for an hour and play or practice. But yes, I said, I'm going to last this pain. So I
Okay.
started doing a little bit of workout at home for my knees and legs and the shoulder, because trying to play it for 1 hour with both hands. Um, so yes, I'm still learning that. I learned sitar,
Okay.
and I also joined a group uh, which is working on trying to revive some of the art forms like Madhubani and Varli, and so these are paintings mostly from the traditional and the art forms.
Yeah.
Which so I joined a group which was doing that. So that's how I kept my sanity during COVID. um, and I joined the sitar group, and I joined a group called as Madhubani again, where they post a challenge in a month, and you see that and you try to draw or paint. So these two kept me sane during COVID. Otherwise, like I said, I don't like sitting at home.
Okay. Okay. So you are probably just wired differently. Because a lot of us, when we get time, we actually make use of it to gossip.
So if I stay at home and if I'm just trying to watch some show or sleep, my family actually asks me saying, "Are you all right?" Because you're you're at home and you're sitting as if you don't have work outside. So are you all right that you're at home? So yeah, maybe I'm wired slightly differently. So, like I said,
But
when I grew
yeah.
up, they always thought I was very naughty. So, my aunt would always say that I was born with wheels in the soles of my feet, constantly be on the move, constantly want to be outside.
Okay. So, a lot of what I hear from you, it's like, a constant flux, a constant movement, a constant. It's like how life should be. It's very interesting to hear your story, Madhvi. You have really lived your life, and that smile is something that comes naturally to you, right?
Yes.
And you work in academia. And I mean, after hearing you and the way you are, I can only imagine how much effort it must have taken you to create that aura of an academic, because that's a different kind of
Yes.
world out there. But yeah, you have done justice to that. And it's been a pleasure to work with you also in some of the terms. And I have loved the work ethics at Wellinger whenever I came to teach. And I love the students there, their
Yes.
excitement, the energy in the college. It's all
Yes.
very, very exciting and
Yes.
inspiring.
And
And
it keeps us young. It keeps us
yes,
all very young because there's so much of that vibe around. And when you're with youngsters, so
and
that's the
and
reason why I love this profession also.
And having a woman leader, the college has also evolved in a very balanced way, because I see a lot of women and men leaders inside the
Yes.
organization, and both of them are shouldering the responsibilities, which is
Yes.
what we need in every
Absolutely.
organization. In
Absolutely.
most organizations, I see that because there's a male leader, it becomes a little lopsided, which I would not blame the men, because that's how the design has been. So changing that design is has not been in their minds. But overall, Madhvi, it's been great talking to you. And good
Thank you.
luck to you for all your future endeavors. And I'm sure
Thank you.
if you find 5 minutes of time, you're going to find something new to do.
Yes.
I don't know whether next time when I meet, I'll be the same serious person that I used to be before. Because I have seen a very different side of you.
Yes.
It's been an honor. You really honored me by agreeing to come for this interview, and I am so rewarded by this experience. Thank you
Thank you.
so
Thank you
much.
so much. It was wonderful talking to you. Thank you.
So, guys, if you loved what you just saw, then please like, share, and subscribe. You better like, share, and subscribe, okay? So please do that. And I will see you soon with another amazing interview. Bye bye.